Okay, guys, so welcome to ECON 125, which is Principles of Macroeconomics. And for this semester, we are working with CRN 25704, coded for Tuesdays from 5 to 8 p.m. Now, subsequent to this class, I am going to call the class from 5:30 to 8:30. The reason being is that I think some of you all are coming from work and would appreciate the extra half an hour to get yourselves home and settled. Some of you right now might actually be still on your way home, and I don't have a problem with that. I don't anticipate we'll be having classes every week, but there are a few sessions that we're going to be calling face to face sessions during the semester, and the schedule that is on the e-classroom will kind of indicate the possibilities of it. Now, a couple questions. Have all of you all been able to navigate to the e-classroom? Show of hands, please, if you could put your hands up. Or I should, better yet, let me ask, has anybody not yet visited the e-classroom? Put your hands down, answer the other question. Who has not yet gone to the e-classroom? Might be an easier question to answer. All right, so it seems that everybody here has been there. Has everybody here also joined the WhatsApp chat group? All right, well, let me ask you, who here has not joined the WhatsApp chat group? Who hasn't joined the group? Miss Ignacio, any reasons why you haven't joined the WhatsApp chat group?
I just checked it the classroom earlier today, and I
Hmm.
forgot to click the link to join to the WhatsApp. So I'll do that today.
All right, well, I'm going to um, share the page. So while we're doing it, you can join the class because what I tend to do is do a lot more communications through the WhatsApp chat group than via emails and stuff, which might be a little more convenient for you guys to have your to get your messages there to confirm things. It's also a faster way for us to communicate. Plus, you can get onto me directly. For those of you who were in my class before, you could message me directly and privately to get responses to any questions or queries that you have with the content. All right, so let's first and foremost. Let me just mute Miss Torres again. All right. Share my page, and then we can look at the e-classroom. So for all of you all should be able to navigate to the e-classroom. Just gonna make this readable for everybody here. All right, can you all see this? Yes. Somebody would need to.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Yes, sir, we
Okay.
can.
Oop. All right. Cool. All right. So hopefully you've been able to go through and read the course descriptions here. Um, And once you've done with that, it kind of outlines everything that's happening and it kind of goes through the most important things that students like to look at as where am I getting my marks, how is the course being evaluated, that type of stuff. So that's all described here. Um, so we'll be going through the elements of it there. Course resources, textbooks. I would recommend you just download all the textbooks because some of these textbooks you may already have from microeconomics. And as I said before, these are documents that you're going to be or books you're going to be using for all of the econ classes. There is an assignment that is specifically related to the budget. So I have the budget statements here for you to download as well when that becomes required. The course outline and course calendar with assignments is this document here, which is also something that you can download, and we'll be going through this in some detail this evening as well. So you should have this document already. All right, but you can always find it here. Now the way, all right, so the same thing, the link for the meeting is either this link or this link, either one would work. It's the same link that I'm using. And this is the link that I talked about with the WhatsApp chat group. And once you're in the group, try and stay there. Again, it is a chat group set aside for us to communicate for questions related to the course or concerns related to the course. Session recording. So the recording of this session will be loaded up under this headline here when that comes up. Then the next section here is assignment submission portals, and we'll be going through these in a fair amount of detail. First assignment is a forum discussion. So the forum discussion is instructions are here. The deadline for that is in March the 1st. All right, and all of the information that you're required to utilize in doing your forum discussion is contained in this piece of document here. It's also downloadable as well. And you're required to do two things from the information here. You have to post into the discussion forum your responses to these questions prepared as a academic paper with citation and all that type of stuff that is necessary. I would recommend that you upload a file to the forum discussion so that you'll be able to have that properly prepared and uploaded. And the second element is that you need to respond to one of the other persons in the class, their work. I want you to critique their work, at least one. You're free to do more than one person from the class, but you have to do at least one. This represents 5% of your final grade, and although it's not a lot, it sort of starts the ball rolling when it comes to the information that you have to, or the assessments that we're going to be utilizing. The marking content, or sorry, the marking, not rubric, but the marking scheme is identified here. So you get 25 marks for the content, 5 marks for your response to the other person, spelling and grammar, 2%, 1% for citation, structured response, paragraph, so 2%. So it's marked overall out of this and then expressed as a percentage out of 100%. So that kind of works out. In essence, what I do is once you do your post, you get 90%, and then I look for the response and the nature of the response. So the nature of the response can't be, I like what you said, it's a critique. Critique the person's work. Point out the good things, discuss, the positives and negatives of how they went about doing their work. If there are any negatives, that is, because a lot of people do excellent work here. All right. The next section here is Turnitin portals. This is the ones that are tricky because we have deadlines to meet to get this, and we all know, based upon previous work in microeconomics and other courses possibly, you need to upload these your assignments into these portals and check for your similarity ratings. And you'd see the deadline dates here for all of the assignments that we're looking at, and we'll go through that in more detail. Once you get it down to the 15%, you then upload your final draft into these portals here, and you'd see there's one extra one. So you have the individual assignment 1, your budget journal, the group project. Yes, there's a piece of group work to be done, and the group PowerPoint. So you don't have to do a content Turnitin for the PowerPoint. You just have to upload it, but that is uploadable after we do presentations. Then the course is divided into various units. Each unit starts off with describing what the learning outcomes for the unit are. There's a PowerPoint presentation that I put together that you could utilize to go through the content. The chapter readings are here as well. There's a PDF with the chapters here, but you can actually go to the textbooks that you downloaded and read them. And then to close off that unit, there is a quiz. And once you go to the quiz, you have a number of attempts. So if you click on this one, it'll take you to the quiz. It'll tell you have 3 attempts. There's a 20-minute time limit, and the methodology I'm utilizing, I'm taking your highest grade. The opportunity here is for you to have more than one chance to be able to tackle questions, tackle the content. And if you're not happy with the response that you've had or the performance you had in one quiz, you have a few more chances to be able to get a better grade. Because from where I stand, or from my perspective, or my philosophy, is we didn't learn things once and done. We have to practice with the unit, with the information, and that should make it a lot easier, a lot better for us. All right. And every unit follows that same structure. It starts again, unit 2, 6, and 7. This is units that are combined elements from each of the units. Unit 2, the entire set of unit 2, some of 6, some of 7. They're all pulled together into this unit here, and it's very big. It's a kind of lengthy area because it deals with national income and national income accounting, balance of payments, exchange rates, inflation, and unemployment. These are critical areas of macroeconomic analysis that you need to be dealing with. Um, so there are, again, this is my PowerPoint that I've designed for you guys. The readings that go with it. All right. Then a set of videos that you can look at from off of YouTube that will help to add to your understanding of of the the content that you're looking at. And because of the amount of content that it is, there are lots of little videos for you to look at. And of course, it concludes with another quiz that will test your understanding of the content that you dealt with there. Because it's such a huge area, excuse me, I've also included um, some additional videos here just to take you a little further down the road of understanding the concepts of inflation and hyperinflation, the situation, and well, not the current situation, but the situation that existed in Venezuela prior to the situation that we have now. Um, Something on GDP and GDP per capita. Um, this here, the roadmap for Trinidad recovery. There's probably a newer version to this, but it's something that you could look at in terms of our recovery after the pandemic. All right. So again, these are other things. If I find anything interesting that I can add, I will come onto the e-classroom and add it for you guys, or even take off some of the older ones and replace them, so to speak. And then again, that's the end of that unit. Then we come to unit 3, income determination. This is probably the backbone of macroeconomics, is understanding this area of income determination, primarily the Keynesian approach to economic theory and macroeconomic management. So that's something that you want to pay attention to. So again, the readings, the PowerPoint presentation. There are lots of readings here because again, this is a heavy area, and lots of videos explaining all the different elements of the Keynesian model, the classical model, the neoclassical model, which is the new version to what they're doing, the accelerator effect, the multiplier effect. All of these are critical elements to understand in the area of income determination. And then of course, we end with a quiz. And, you know, the quizzes, again, will come with numerous attempts. So you're allowed to, if you don't quite get the information or the content or the concepts, you have more than one opportunity to try and, get the best grade possible. All right. Any questions so far? Then we have the unit on money and banking. Then we have government policy and public finance, which we call fiscal policy. Then we have unit 6 is broken into 2 parts: international environments, that has to do with balance of trade and international trade. And then the second part here is the international environments and globalization. So there's the program or the course is broken up into some neat areas. So technically what you have is 7 different units covering all of the content across the board. All right. You can freely move from one unit to the next as fast or as slow as you need to. All right. So, any questions about what you're seeing here so far on the e-classroom? No? All right. Let's look at the course outline. So of course, with the course outline, it kind of details everything that you're seeing on the e-classroom, but it gives you a lot more details of what's happening and further instructions and specific assignments. All right, so again, all the stuff you all can go through. Critical area here is communicating with me. Your main one is via WhatsApp. And how that works is if you have a question you want to ask me within the group or privately, you can message me and leave me a voice note or a message, and I will try to respond to you as fast as I can. I try to respond immediately, but if I'm busy with something else, I'll respond to you as soon as I can. Sometimes what I do, because of the nature of the question, I might call you or I might message and ask you if you're available to have a phone conversation, and I will call you and we'll have a chat about it, and hopefully, we'll be able to get to the bottom of whatever problems you're having. So I'm available for you guys as much as possible for the semester, to, you know, to be available. But I ask you, please, give me Sundays a little bit now, because I have classes to teach on a Saturday as well. So um, give me Sundays at least to spend with my family and whatnot. Cool? All right. That then takes us to the course description, and it's the same things you just saw in the e-classroom, the 7 units that we cover. This document kind of puts out why we're doing this course, how it's connected with the other program courses that you're going to be dealing with, and how it's expected to impact upon your ability to perform in the overall programs that you're doing, either HR, business administration, accounting, whatever it is. They all kind of sit within the elements here that we're looking at. All right, so you could go through this document, but I think the critical area that you all want to look at is the areas on this. This has to do with activities and what learning outcomes we're trying to test and evaluate. So you all could look at this at your leisure, read it and try to understand what's going on with it, how it's meant to describe things that's going on. All right, teaching methods. Let me make this a tad smaller. All right, teaching methods just kind of describes the intention of how we're supposed to be doing things in the course. All right. This is the one we want to pay attention to. So this is the course calendar, and it sort of explains and lays out where you should be at any point in time. So the first class here is today, and the online session is going to be primarily about us getting together and understanding and kind of preparing ourselves for the rest of the semester. All right. And one of the critical things that comes up in macroeconomics is citation, which is why you see this little clip here that has a live feed on it, but it's also on the e-classroom right at the top here, where I think I've left the link. Did I leave that link? Yes, here it is. How to do citation and referencing in MS Word and so on. The citation element is very critical. It's very important, and it's therefore, for those of you who have already done Libs 130, you kind of have a heads up on it. But for some reason, because there's a limit to the amount of classes that are run every semester, you might be running behind. But a critical part of doing assignments for this course is your ability to indicate that you're capable of academic work that is of this type of nature. All right, that makes sense. So on this side here, I kind of laid out the plan for when we will be meeting. So this is our first session. We'll have an online session. The next proposed session is the 10th of February. However, because there are a couple of people missing today from today's class, I will try to reach out to them and see if they want to meet next week to kind of catch up on what they may have missed off. Or if I message the class and I say, how you all feel about doing a session, you all could, let me know, yes, no, you're not interested, or you want to focus on doing your work on your own, kind of thing. Again, you're moving at your own pace, but this schedule indicates to you where you ought to be by any point in time for the semester. So By the 1st of March, I expect that you should be finished with the forum discussion element that goes on while going through the other elements here in terms of units, unit 1, unit 2, 6, and 7, which will kind of relate to the forum discussion. And then, of course, by the time you get that done, you should also be well into unit 3, which is income determination. So again, the layout here has to do with where you ought to be, but if you run behind, don't be too far behind. Don't get yourselves too caught up with things around you. Now, this also takes into consideration the college closes for carnival, because you'd see one of the scheduled dates is the 17th, but that you'd recognize that the 17th of February a uh, is one of the carnival days, right? Carnival Tuesday, in fact. And what I'm although I'm leaving it here, it's cited in red. We're not going to make up the day, but you should be able to compensate for the time that you would have lost. So again, be careful paying attention to what's going on there. All right. Um, by March 3rd, you should be on money and banking. 10th, 17th. And so far so good. Everybody understanding that your first individual assignment should be completed by the end of March, March 29th. Now, if you miss the date, don't panic. I'm not going to kill you all. I'm just telling you that by the end of March, you should be finished with the first assignment and submitted. That means you did all your work, you read your stuff, you got your similarity rating down to less than 15%, and you've submitted it into your final draft. All right. So try and get that sorted out there. Then we move on to April. By April, you should be in Unit 6, Part 1 and Part 2. You should be dealing with that. The 14th of April, we must have a session to review the your content and your preparation for the following week, the 21st, week 13, where your group presentation will be taking place. So you all will be put into groups, and in those groups you will be doing a particular assignment and presenting your findings at this point in time. So it's another country analysis for those of you all who are familiar with what was done for micro. It's another country analysis that you were going to be performing, but in this case, you're going to be doing a macroeconomic evaluation. Now, you notice something here that I've set the second assignment outside the semester. So semester ends that week of the first week of May, sorry. But I've set the fiscal policy assignment due date to the 10th of May, and then all the quizzes will close on the 17th of May, and your group project should be submitted by the 17th of May as well. Now, why have I done that? I've done that because I have a grade line submission of the 24th of May. So I want to make sure that all your assignments are in, giving me enough time to go through all your assignments, mark everything, and submit your grades on the system by the deadline. I don't want to be late with that. This section here is just a summary of the assignments and their submission dates. The last teaching day for the class, anybody can tell me what that is? The last teaching day for the class is what day? Anybody knows? I don't know where I put my academic calendar. I think it's
in April.
this is it here, yeah. Last teaching day for the semester is April the 7th. Last teaching semester ends on the 26th of April. So you'd notice that a lot of the stuff that I am asking you all to submit is after classes end. And the reason why I'm doing that is because I want to kind of ease off the pressure on assignments and give you all a chance to make sure you grapple with the content. All right, so I'm going to use that gap between the end of the semester and my time frame for submitting grades to give you a little kind of ease up to upload things. All right, that sounds fair, guys. It sounds something doable for you. Anybody has any questions on that so far?
It sounds fair, sir, and we have no questions.
All right, it seems that way. All right, so we want to go through the assignments um, in more detail at this point in time so that we can, have a better idea of what we're doing. So the first thing we spoke about is the graded online discussion forum, um, for which you're going to be uploading a response. So there is some stimulus material here in terms of the question, and you have some answers or some responses to write up. Again, that needs to be submitted as an academic paper, and the best way to do it, I think, is to go to the forum discussion, click on this. The same instructions are here. All right. Wow, somebody already submitted. Miss Francois, well done. So Miss Francois has already submitted a response to the question, and it looks good actually. Nicely cited sources. All in. Now, what you'd find when you do it this way, and this is what I was talking about. When you do it this way, all the formatting for your references and everything is lost. Whereas if you click on Add to Discussion and go to Advance, you can actually upload a file. You follow me? I would actually prefer that you upload a file with the thing. So I'll give our friend who has done the submission already an opportunity to resubmit her Miss Francois. Are you here, Miss Francois? Stacy? Hello?
So she put her response in the chats. I think she was
Okay.
saying she tried to upload the file, but was having
All right,
difficulty.
but probably because she didn't see the advanced tab. The advanced tab is what lets you upload the file. So that's what I kind of went to. So you could actually um make that. But how can you jump the gun and do this already? You? That's interesting. Always have somebody, yeah. All right. Yeah. So when you go to add to the discussion point, you see here post the forum cancel. Here just allows you to type into the box. But if you prepare your document, you click on advanced, and then you can upload a file here. You follow me? And that then will then upload the file to the forum discussion. And what makes it nice for me is that I'm able to download your file and store it and keep a record of all your assignments as you're going through. All right. So somebody's been paying attention, but that will give you an opportunity to re-upload that thing, and it also gives you all some the rest of the class actually some momentum to move with, because having somebody put their work there already gives you an opportunity to have somebody's assignment to critique, because that's the second part of the assignment. All right, that looks good so far, ma'am. All right, and you can tell from the marks, the biggest question there is the part 3 question, which is 12 marks. That goes in about the strategies that you can utilize to deal with an inflationary gap. Of course, you have to start off the whole situation by explaining what is an inflationary gap, and can I explain this in the context of the paragraph that is up here, which is sort of like a case study kind of thing. Well, not really case study, but we will see what it goes. All right, same marking structure. So looking at that, so somebody's met the deadline already. Cooking with Ramco gas. What did she say in her chat? I was trying to add the file, but I couldn't add it. Okay. All right, cool. So maybe now you'll be able to organize that. All right. So this is the rubric that is utilized to mark the activity. So everything is there for you. Individual assignment 1. This one is due the end of March. All right. These are the learning objectives. The 29th of March by 11:59 p.m. You should be uploading this, and it would need to be after you've done the submission through Turnitin to get your 15% um, similarity. Do not put the forum discussion there because it kind of some of the questions here overlap with some of the stuff that you're going to be responding from the forum discussion. So these are the questions here. There's a section on inflation, a section on unemployment, a section on trade. So these three sections give you the areas of responses that you're going to be answering the questions to. It's marked out of 125 marks, but it'll be expressed as a percentage out of 100. Plus, we're going to be looking for your ability to put your paper together as an academic paper and also to be able to utilize the appropriate citation necessary for it. Okay? So that's kind of critical that you pay attention to those things. All right? As the instructions indicate. So, as I said, they're fairly straightforward questions. List and explain. Look at the implications. Differentiate between. Look at the key identifiers in the questions. They kind of point at the level at which you need to be responding. It's not rocket science. Everything's there in the textbooks. Everything is there in the stimulus material. At the end of the day, I need just to get comfortable with the material and understand it across the board. All right. So that's the marking for that. The budget journal is a little more critical in the sense that you kind of have to go through the budget and identify one fiscal measure presented in the last budget and do an analysis of that fiscal budget. Now, there is some time between the reading of that budget to now, which gives you an opportunity to kind of look at what the impact of that fiscal policy is. So you could find other supporting information besides the budget itself to look at how those policies are working and whether or not they are achieving the goals that the government outlined in the budget speech. So you need to go through and kind of identify it in your words. So the questions here lead you through the analysis. In your own words, explain the fiscal measure. Now it's one fiscal measure, guys. So if you're having difficulty understanding what is a fiscal measure and stuff, do the content on it before you start tackling the question. And then you could start to probably understand what is a fiscal measure and what is it designed to do, what concepts are related to that, or what is the government addressing in terms of the economic problems that are facing the country, that type of stuff. So here we're looking at the economy from a very broad perspective. We're looking at our total figures that we are trying to deal with. Aggregate demand, aggregate supply, level of prices in the country, that's inflation, level of unemployment, all of those kind of things. The rate at which we're growing or not growing, that is economic growth and development. Those kind of things are really critical problem areas for most countries. In fact, when you do your country analysis, that is going to come to bear based upon what you're seeing from the research that you're going to be doing. And again, this assignment is due by the 10th of May. Again, you could get it done earlier if you want. But by the 10th of May, you should be done and uploading this to the e-classroom after you've done your analysis and your citation check. All right. Any questions on the journal? So all the documents you need for the journal are there already, right? The budget being primarily what you need to be dealing with. Questions about this? No? Yes? All right. Well, let's move along. All right. There's the rubrics here explaining how we're going to be scoring these things. All right. Then we come to the group project. So the group project is split into two elements. There's the written responses or the written paper that you're going to submit. And from that written paper, you're going to generate a presentation of findings. So 20 marks is set aside for the presentations. I'm sorry, for the written paper, and 10% or 10 marks is set aside um, for the PowerPoint for your class presentation. So this will be something that you'll be doing in the presenting on the date of the that is ascribed. I think it's right here. It should be here somewhere. So the questions. All right. So the presentation date is the 21st of April, and the written project is due on the 17th of May. So you have a gap between your presentation. So what I want you all to do is focus on putting the paper together, but don't finalize it. Extract from from your research and your written paper the presentation. Make your presentation, and then based upon the outcome, because I'm going to mark that as you do it and give you guidelines as to what may need to be corrected, all right, or fixed in your final presentations going forward. All right. Now the questions are fairly lengthy. You're going to be choosing a country, and you're going to be doing an introduction, overviewing the demographics, the size, the location, population, culture, and various things about the government and that type of stuff. And then we're going to start tackling some other questions, specifically the history of the country's currency, the current currency that is utilized in the current country, and the exchange rate system that is identified. That's question one. Question two asks you to identify any integrating bodies that they belong to, so that is for globalization, and look at the body and look at what give us two of its roles and two of its functions, and then discuss and about that roles and functions. Then question three goes into the economic problems that are faced by the country. So each country has different issues. So you would want to do enough analysis there and identify and describe the problems that they're having, and explain two strategies that can be utilized to address it, utilizing data that supports that. Then we have well, all of these are going to be questions that are dealing with real data. So you have to collect 10 years of import and export data and then do some analysis of that. So I've put a site here where you could go get that data, World Bank site. So you can go there and gather the data for the country. And then using that data, you're going to analyze the import and exports data for the country, looking at the trends, whether they're increasing, decreasing, fluctuating, remaining positive or stable over the 10-year period that you're looking at. What kind of trade balance are you seeing? Is it deficit? Is it balanced? Is it surplus? And what are the implications that can have? At least two implications that trade balance can have on the country. Similarly, in the other area here, you're going to collect data on GDP and GDP growth rates, and that will be utilized to evaluate the what is happening with the size of the country's GDP, whether it's growing, whether it's stable, whether it's falling. So you're doing a sort of performance evaluation for the country, and you're going to provide reasons why you're seeing the current trends in that country in terms of their GDP and so on. Describe any strategies that will be able to used by the country to stimulate growth and development. And then the last question here is to look at the long-term effect of COVID, the pandemic, on households and firms or to industries in the country specifically that you're looking at. All right. So a fairly broad piece of analysis that needs to go on for your country of choice. All right. And that is it. Basically, after that, the next thing is should I talk about this with you guys? Groups that don't work well, I will ask the groups to perform or to utilize something called a peer evaluation form, where you will evaluate each other, and then based upon that, I would have to um, utilize that to determine how each person gets their marks. Now, I don't want to use this, and this is only going to be done upon my request. If there are problems in groups, let me know early o'clock so I can start to address them. Don't wait until near the end of the semester to tell me that somebody in the group's not doing their work, yada yada yada. I prefer to head that off early o'clock because that is always a negative thing that we're going to be looking at. And I want really you guys to be able to have a better experience in the class across the board for that. So this is the evaluation here, and it's punitive in nature. It's meant to punish people, and I don't like using it. All right, because what happens when you start to use this is that everybody in the group suffers from this evaluation that is utilized here. You're marking somebody out of 100%, so it's 4 marks per question. There are 25 questions you have to rate the persons on, and that is everybody else in your group beside yourself. That leaves you with a percentage out of 100, which will end up being that is then averaged from all of the group members. That will then determine what your share of the group project's score will be. And almost everybody without fail suffers from this particular thing, because it means that if your assignment got you 100%, but your peer evaluation averaged out at 80%, you will only get 80%. You won't share that. You won't even get that 100% that your assignment is due. So as I said, it's punitive in nature. Try and avoid us having to use that. Okay. This is the rubrics for the country for marking of the the report. So and it's fairly detailed. You can go through this if you're having any queries. You know, it's meant to give you all more specific information in terms of what is expected of you, in terms of the paper itself that you have to look at. So every question is given, you know, various types of indicators in the rubric style as to what is expected and where you can find yourself scoring across the board. All right. There's also, if you come down a little lower, because it's a very extensive rubric, this is the one for the presentation. And the content is given 60%. The presentation skills that you are able to pull together is 25%, and your use of relevant citation for the presentation is given 15%. So that's it. Then after that we have quizzes. There are 7 quizzes. I'm taking your 5 best grades. All right, do all of them though. Just don't rely on 5. Do all of them. I'm taking your 5 best grades, and that will count for 25% of your final grade. And I'm telling you now, do not leave your quizzes for last minute. Make sure you do them, all right, as you're moving through the course. Last semester, I had the ridiculous situation of somebody missing all of their quizzes. And if you miss, that's 25%. You will not get anything beyond a C plus for the course. All right, aim for the A's, guys, because that's what I'd like to see everybody get for the class. It's very straightforward. If you follow on, you know, do the things, you know, try and get it sorted out. My plan is the quizzes are already open. You can attempt them if you want to, but go through the content. Don't just go and do the quiz one after the next. You know, use out all 3 of your attempts. Do it once after you've completed the first go through of the material. If the score is 10 out of 10, fantastic. If it's not, then you have to go back and review the material before you go and attempt it a second time. All right. So I said here generally there's at least 2 attempts. In a lot of instances, I've increased them to three attempts just to give you all a little extra tweak to, you know, get the best grade possible. All right. There's no penalties if you, that will carry over from one attempt to the next. All right. So because I'll just be taking your 5 best scores from the 7 quizzes, and those 5 best scores will give you the option to be able to get full marks for your quizzes based across the board there. All right. Everybody follows that? Everybody's okay with everything so far? Yes, no, maybe?
Yes, sir.
All right. All right, so let's go to back to this. All right, so now what we want to do is we want to put people into groups. All right, so let me delete some of this stuff here. Yes, I want to delete that. See if I can do this. All right, so these were countries that were utilized in my previous class. So what we want to do is we want to set up um, create groups. I'm just going to call you all group 1 for now. All right. You all want me to auto create groups or what you all want to do?
Yes, so you can also create maximum.
Auto create? All right.
Yeah,
So I have to
yeah,
add
you
a
could
set.
also create.
All right.
Yeah.
So there are 20 people in the class, right? So number of groups auto create based upon members per group. Members count will be 4 persons per group with students on all right, let's try that and see how it works. Wow, we end up with group 1, group E. All right, so I have to delete this one here. All right, yes. I want to. So we have group A, B, C, D, and E. So it's group. All right, so you all probably need to take a note of this. Group A, do that. Group A is. Can I copy these things from here, babe? Yeah, nope. Grab this up. Right, so Gomez, Gomez, Harewood, Connect, and Sing. That's group E. So I do this. So what is done? Group B. All right, so let's see who group B is. Group B is Collymore, Marslin, Samsudar, and Smith. Group C. Hari Prasad. Ignacio. Ramdas. Torres. Spelled that wrong. Qrres. Torres. D. Group D is Dale, Figaro, Welcome. All right, group E. Now, there's some people who aren't here today. Well, only two people actually. Francois F. Huggins, Lewis. So Lewis is not here today, and Knight is not here today, and Gustav. All right. Bum, 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 bum. So let me just copy this and put it into the chat for this class. People already start. That's good. All right, so you can download the groupings here, so you know what group you're in, right? Fantastic. You're starting already. This is excellent. People took pictures. Great stuff. Fantastic. You guys are uh, um, what we call. So the persons who are absent today is Kimberly Knight. I'm not sure they and Carlon Lewis. And both of them did well in the previous class, so we should be okay with them. Um, all right, so those are the groups. So your instructions now for the group activities is sometime by next week, I think you all need to get together and suggest some countries um, that you would need to then shortlist. So give me about three, three countries that, unless of course you all want to do it now, and give me an idea of what countries now. So Group A, there's Miss Knights is missing, and Group E, Mr. Lewis isn't here. So the other groups, what you all could do is in the groups of four, uh, start to get together and discuss what country you all would like to research. Try and stay away from the classes or the countries you did last semester, please. But in any case, the analysis for this semester is macroeconomic in nature. So it wouldn't be too bad if you'll deal with it from that perspective as well. All right. So in the chat or in by the next class meeting that we have, I would expect to get some feedback on what countries you all would have selected as being the countries you'd prefer to research. All right. Okay, so let me bring this up back to the summary here of assignments so that we could pay attention to this. All right, so this document here is probably your biggest guideline for dealing with things across the board. All right, so with that being done, recording still going, I wanted to ask whether or not people had any questions they wanted to ask about what was taking place. No questions? Everybody understands everything clearly?
Yes,
So yeah, meaning that if we have questions, we can reach you, and
Yes.
then a lot of the information in the e-classroom. So I think we will go through it, and when we come up to some difficulties, we will call you.
Right. Okay. Now, as I said before, my intention is not to be bothering you all too much with sessions during the semester, but I will message you all and find out. I'll probably do a let's meet and give me an update on how things are going kind of situation. Pretty much like what I did with you all in the previous semester. For those of you who were in class with me, but once you're having any questions or concerns, don't wait. Just send it out, and if it's something that requires that I call the whole class in to have a discussion, I will do so. But it'll only be during this time frame that I'll be able to do that. But there are, as I said, there are some mandatory classes that we need to do for the semester. For the two people who are absent today, that is Knights and Lewis. They've already been assigned to groups, so hopefully they're already a member of the WhatsApp chat group. I'm not sure if they've been able to join, but as I said, we pay attention to those two persons, make sure they don't create problems for those two groups. Unfortunately, they're not all put into the same groups, which is a good thing. All right. Okay, so with that being said, anybody has anything they want to ask specifically or get clarified at this point in time? All right. Seems as everybody's okay. Let me stop the recording. I'll upload this recording to the e-classroom, so those who missed it or those who want to go back over certain things are free to do so. Okay.